And we are back with another podcast. Last week we weren't in because of, well, some events came up. We'll get into that. We're going to talk about everything, our progress, what happened, just everything. Okay, so I am suffering with allergies right now. I mowed my yard for the first time since winter, and it hit me very heavily, but I was still in the gym doing what I needed to do. My weight has continuously to trend down. Last Saturday, Sunday, I was at 223.6. Today's Friday, so my weight was at 226 this morning. Saturday's another low day, and then Sunday will be my lowest weight. Obviously, I'm not going to know that until Saturday, but the way that all my numbers are trending, because I write all my numbers down every single day in the mornings what I weigh, all my numbers are trending down from where I was last week to this week. Everything's down. So I have no doubts that I'm going to be down at least half a pound to a pound this week. So that's a good thing for me because I'm trying to keep it around half a pound to 2 pounds a week. Don't want to lose too much too fast because I don't want to lose any actual quality tissue like muscle mass and stuff.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, for me, I injured myself last week. So that's one of the reasons why it's been 2 weeks since we've done this. So last Monday, before I was doing some barbell rows and ended up pulling something in my back. And that kind of sidelined me for the rest of the week. Still did my diet portion, but I wasn't really able to work out because it was a little difficult to move around. So as far as my weight loss went for that week, I got down to about 260, which I was 259 the week before, so 260's range wasn't terrible, especially for not working out. And then Sunday, high carb day, carb back up. So Monday morning, I was the following Monday morning, I was back up to 269, and then today, Friday, worked out all week this week, and I'm back to right at 260.4, I believe I was this morning. So tomorrow will be another low day, same as you, and then Sunday morning I'll probably have my lowest weight, and I'm pretty sure I'll probably be in the 258 range, but we'll see actually happens on Sunday.
Yeah. So as far as it goes for my carb cycling, I'm doing one high day a week, and I do 6 low days is what I've changed to. So I do 300 carbohydrates a day, Monday through Saturday, and I do 66, 67 carbs for breakfast. I do 150 before my workout, about an hour before my workout. Then I do another 67-ish, something like that, 65, 67. I can't remember exactly, but it totals out to right around plus or minus 5 carbohydrates at 300. So it could be 295, 300, 305. It's somewhere around there, plus or minus 5 of 300. These allergies, man, they're tearing me up. It's so hard to breathe. I'm trying not to get into the mic, breathe like an ogre, but it's so hard because I'm so stuffed up. So I'm going to be gasping a lot. Bear with us. So anyways, that's working really well for me. I'm actually getting really good pumps because putting carbs first thing in the morning gives me the energy throughout the day, and then I don't get any carbs throughout the day, but I'm burning those carbs from the morning. Then I get the carbs before my workout, which I use during my workout, and I get a great pump. I have plenty of energy, and I work it works perfect for me because what I've noticed is with carb timing, not just carb cycling, but when I time my carbs throughout the day, I don't have to crash no more. Before, I would eat at 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, 3 p.m. Every meal would have carbs all the way to the last meal of the day. Probably around 1, 2 o'clock, I would start getting super exhausted. I just feel crashed, just nodding off, ready to go to sleep, take a nap. Now, I don't have that problem. I'm alert all day. I'm awake all day. So I don't have that spike of insulin and then the decrease and the spike of insulin, then decrease. So I don't have that wave of insulin throughout the day no more. I just have a spike in the morning, then it comes down, and I'm just steady the rest of the day. And it feels good. And then whenever I eat my carbs and I drink my coffee before my workout, it actually hits me aggressively now. So it actually gives me a lot of energy before I worked out, because before I was getting carbs just throughout the day whenever I didn't really need them. I mean, I'm active and moving around, but not working out the way we do. You're not active at work like you are in the gym. I mean, some people are. I used to have a job like that, but not anymore. So I am moving, but not at the extent of what I do in the gym. So having carbs throughout the day, I don't need them. All I noticed is that when I got to the gym, I was just so tired and exhausted, and I didn't have any energy to push. But now it's like I have all the energy in the world to push. And the way that we're lifting right now too, it's a good thing because this is anything but easy the way that we're training.
So, previous weeks I've been doing more of a, like your example, like keeping the carbs just morning before, like what would have been my workout time like last week, and then what would have been my after workout time, even though I wasn't working out. But this week I swapped out some of the meals. Instead of doing the yogurts, swapped it out for a rice, and I did it one day to where it was just like a rice meal all before the workout time.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like it felt like it was too much to kind of force down right away. So I ended up separating it into two meals. And so it's spaced throughout. I still get the one before the workout, but then I also get one before that has rice in it too. And I have to say, like, this is probably the first week though I've really noticed, like you would always talk about, where Monday, Tuesday, yeah. Wednesday, it's like, okay. Thursday, Friday, is it time to rest yet?
Yeah.
I'm good in the gym, but like the morning time, good. Noon, 1 o'clock, I'm like,
It just hit you.
yeah, like, man, like this day is really. Is it nighttime yet?
Yeah, no, I know that feeling all too well. I really do know that feeling all too well. But I know whenever I was carb cycling before in general, come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you hit the gym, you hit the ground running, and then you deplete by then. Because like the way we train 6 days a week, we already work the whole body out by Wednesday. We're done. Now we're going in for a second serving, right? Second round, but with no carbs, except for the little bit that we get during the day. And then Thursday's difficult. Friday is like absolutely like intense. Not intense because the workout's harder. It's just intense because how tired you are. And then Saturdays would seem almost impossible to even get in there to work out. I mean, we would, but it was just like we're carrying bricks uphill on an iced over, slope with rollerblades on. It's just like this is impossible. We're not making this. But the way that I'm doing it now with the carb timing, and I put the carbs where I need them in the day, it just makes a big difference for me. It really has made the biggest difference. Like my stomach is getting really lean when I have a pump and I'm working out in the gym, especially in the beginning of the week after I come off of my high carb day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, taking my shirt off and breathing, I can see my top 4 abs. Like in the mirror, I can see them. And even in the evenings, I can see them whenever I'm just sitting there breathing and stuff like that. When I flex, I can see the top 4. I can see where the bottom 2 are starting to come in. And I'm only feeling stronger, more energetic, more energy. I feel like I'm actually getting bigger. I feel like I'm growing as I'm leaning out. I actually feel like I'm putting size on while I'm leaning out. And now that's just a illusion, because as you get leaner, you feel bigger because your muscles pop more because there's less fat. So they're more, out there and presentable. So they look bigger than what they did whenever you were fluffy and fat. So that is something that like I do like enjoy seeing the progress. And it's not like I'm making progress like once a month I see it. This is like almost every morning I see a difference. Like and of course like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday I'm full, right? Come Thursday, Friday, Saturday I'm depleted, so my muscles they're smaller, they're more deflated, they're not as big, puffy or bulbous, they're not round or anything like that. But once I carb up on Sunday and I get that 1,000 carbohydrates on Sunday, man, like that's whenever I look at myself and I'm just like, yeah, I can see a definite difference from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, from last week to this week. Huge difference. And that's every day though, but you have to realize that, your second round with lower carbs, you're not going to look like your first round of the week with higher carbs and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things that you kind of understand, like, yeah, this half of the week I'm going to look worse. But next week in the beginning, like, how much better am I going to look? And it's been steady progress. Like the way that we're training, with the way we're eating, I think I finally cracked my Enigma code for what I need for weight loss, because try not to ramble here and I'll let you talk in a second. But last year, whenever I went on the suffering, and I decided I'm going to eat brown rice and boiled chicken for those 75 days, and nothing but pretty much brown rice and boiled chicken. Like I did that for 75 days. I was doing like 20 to 30 minutes, in the beginning, 20 to 30 minutes of cardio on the Stairmaster, halfway through 30 to 40 minutes in the mornings. And then I would do another 20 to 30 minutes in the evenings. Then I was working out 5 days a week, 6 days a week. I can't remember. I know I switched it up a little bit. I know at one point I was doing 6 days and then 5 days. And I think I even went down to 3 days and back to 6 days. I can't remember. Man, it's so hard because I can't breathe through my nose. So I'm trying to inhale and talk at the same time. But anyways, and the only thing that happened was I went from like 230 down to 206, and I looked real stringy, anorexic, and terrible. And I was no closer to having abs at the end of that than I was at the beginning. Now, once I filled back up on glucose and I got a lot of carbs in me, because I was only getting 170 carbs a day every single day and doing all that work. Once I got a lot of carbs and 2 weeks went by and I filled back up and I got back up to 220, oh, I looked great, right? Still no closer to having abs. And now I'm sitting at, in the morning on Sunday, I was 223.8, I think. I think it was 6 or 8, I can't remember, last week. 223.6 last Sunday. And then this morning I was 226. That's 20 pounds heavier than I was at 206. And I look better now and leaner and fuller than I did at 206. And my stomach looks a lot better. My arms, my chest, everything is just coming out so much better. So like this diet, the carb timing with the carb cycling, and then the way that we're training, it's far superior than what I was doing last year. And the high volume, high frequency that we're doing, way better than the high intensity, low volume. The high intensity, low volume, to compensate the calories for the deficit, I had to do more cardio. I'm spending less time on the weights, but I'm not in a deficit because how much I'm eating. So I have to go into a deficit by doing cardio. So I made the deficit by doing cardio because I had to have a deficit. To lose 1 to 2 pounds a week, I had to do cardio to create a deficit. So I was spending less time on the weights, more time on cardio. What ended up happening was I just cardioed all my muscle mass away. I was losing weight, sure, but I was losing tissue. I wasn't losing fat. And my body wasn't responding to it. I was training hard, I was training heavy, and I was doing high intensity, but I just wasn't responding to the way that I wanted to respond. And I just ended up looking horrible. It was just it was an experiment and a very, very good experiment because I stuck to it. I changed the routine up here and there, but for the most part, it's high intensity. I put a little high volume here and there. I flipped it up a little bit. But for the most part, it was high intensity, and it just wasn't happening. So we'll get into the workout here in a minute. I want to hear your thoughts on what you think about this and how it's affecting you and stuff like that.
I think for me, like because I'm pretty sure you increased your carbs like on your low days and stuff like that up a little bit, and I think that might be my issue as well. Like I'm doing 200 on my low days right now, and I think I might just need to bump that up to like 250, 300, somewhere around there to kind of help me get through the week a little easier and not have that as bad of a end of the week kind of
well, let me ask you,
out.
Okay, do you do 6 low days or do you do a medium day in the week?
I do a medium on Wednesday.
How much are you getting on there?
So it's 200 on the lows, 400 on the medium, and then I was doing 800 on the high.
Okay, so what you need to do is, if you go 200 for Monday, Tuesday, low days. Wednesday, if you're feeling still beat the hell up, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, bump your carbs up on Wednesday. So instead of 4, try 5. And then try 550 and then 600, right? Try that first. And then because you might just need to refeed, like pretty much like carb load, refeeding like on Sunday. So if you bring your carbs up on Wednesday, that might be what you need, is bringing them up by another 100. If you don't want to have like low day, medium day, high days, then you need to figure out how many carbs you need per day to give you the energy you need. Because that's what I did. I had to keep playing with it. Like I kept moving around my carbs, like 2 medium days, 4 low days, 1 high day, 1 medium, 5 low, 1 high. I kept moving around, I moved the carbohydrates around, on each day and how much I was getting, because I was at 125 on my low days, then I was getting 200 on my low days, and 300 on my medium days, and 400 on my medium days, and 500 on my medium days, 600 on my high days, to 700 to 800. And then what I found that works perfect for me is 300 carbohydrates a day, timed around my workouts, 6 days a week, and then 1,000 on my off day. Works perfect. I don't have any fatigue from the beginning of the week to the end. I start looking flat towards the end of the week, but I don't have a decrease of performance. Like it's still there. I mean, I'm a little bit more tired than I am at the beginning of the week. I can't lift as heavy as I could at the beginning of the week, but I don't feel the fatigue, if that makes sense. I'm able to push just as hard as I could on the beginning. I just have to lighten the load up a little bit, change the tempo. Beginning of the week, I might use heavier weights and move faster. The end of the week, I might use lighter weights and slow down the reps because I know I can't handle the same load. So it's like, okay, the first chest night of the week, let me do the 70s on flat bench and let me bang those for like 15 to 20. But then I come around to the second workout of the week and I'm not getting the same amount of carbs every day and I'm tired. So it's like, okay, let me go to the 50s, but let me slow down and just do 12. Let me do a slow 12 with the 50s. So I get the same amount of time going from 12 reps to 20 reps. But because I'm doing less reps, I'm spending more time under load. So the time under tension's still there, but the tempo's different. So it's not high intensity. I'm still training volume. I just changed up how much time, where the time's coming from. So I do move it around. So I don't know if you noticed that or not, but I do move my reps and my speed around. Just depends on where I'm at in the week and how I'm feeling as far as it goes for fatigue. If my muscles feel tired, I go lighter, I slow down. My muscles feel good, I go heavier, I speed up. I know it's like, wait, hold on. You go heavier and speed up? Shouldn't you go heavier and slow down? No. No, you go heavier, you speed up. You can move more weight. The faster you go, you can move more. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to push my body to move more weight with a faster rep, not that slow stuff. That's whenever I use lighter weights, because you have to make light weights feel heavy by moving slow. Heavy weights, you can make them feel lighter by moving them fast. Why do I do that? Because it's fun and I like doing it. And that's it. There's no bro science or no real science. It's just I'm fun and I can stick to it and it keeps it interesting for me. So move your carbs around. Like I said, if you don't want to go like I do and just do 6 across the board and then 1 high, bring that medium day up. Before you bring your low days up, try bringing that medium day up, because you might just need a little bit more to get you over that hill. Try that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I still got to figure it out, because this is only like the 3rd technical full week of actually legit trying to cycle the carbs, not just have a set amount of carbs that I was eating every single day. So it's going to take me a little bit or whatever, but I do feel that it is helpful. Like, I've had, subtracting the injury from last week, even with the injury though, like, it sidelined me, but I was still pushing myself to kind of get up and move around as best I could, even with my back hurting, to try and like keep blood flow in there and everything like that. That way I wasn't going to be out of the gym for as long, because I didn't want to have an extended, like overly extended time out of the gym and just kind of start falling further and further behind, because, you know, like you're always trying to catch up to me and I just can't let you, you know, just get it that way, you know.
Yeah, that's true. It's like the coyote and roadrunner, right? Mm-hmm. It's always one's chasing. Okay, so let's talk about your injury for a little bit. I wouldn't call it an injury. I would definitely say you were hurt. So the difference between an injury and being hurt is an injury is like you're down, not for like a day or a week, or like you seriously hurt yourself and there's going to be months of recovery, right? So that's an injury. Like, you literally tore a muscle, not off the bone, but you could actually ruptured a muscle belly, you dislocated a shoulder, you broke something, you fractured something, you sprained something. Like, to me, that's an injury. That's my definition of an injury when it comes to gym. Hurt is like what you did. I tweaked my back and now I'm stiff and it's hard to move around. So it's going to take me, 2-3 weeks to kind of get back to where I was. Like, oh, my elbow's tender. It kind of hurts. It feels like I got, tinnitus, tennis elbow or something like that, I got to figure out what I did and work on the muscle in the area and the elbow and the joint and my mobility, and okay, yeah, I'm feeling better. And all right, it's been like 3 weeks, a month, I'm back into it, 100%. I've had injuries. I've torn intercostals, torn them, like a shotgun going off, and then just massive pressure at both sides. Dropped the bar on my chest with 340. It's rolled out of my hands. Broke my sternum. Tore my pec completely off. Had to have surgery on that. Tore this delt. Tore my tricep. Tore my hamstring. Tore my groin. My other groin. The other groin again. Those were like out for months. Like, it took a while to heal for those. So, not downplaying what happened to your back, because I know you were in a lot of pain, right? So, but the good thing about what happened with you is it was pretty like identifiable of what happened and what you did, and the pretty much like not quick fix, but the rehabilitation was something simple as yoga, right? You started doing yoga and your back you're not 100%. You're probably about 70?
Close, yeah.
About 70%. You're moving around a lot better. You still have parts and moments where, but
yeah, it gets stiff. Like, if I stand for too long or anything like that, or sit for too long, it starts to get stiff. I just gotta move around.
Yeah, so you started doing yoga, right? So to take me through that, like, how do you feel about yoga? Because you've never really done it But now that your hand's been forced into it, you kind of had to do it right. I've been telling you for a long time, dude, you gotta do yoga. You gotta do yoga, man. You gotta do yoga. Yoga is so good for you. Like, you feel goofy when you're doing it, and you feel stupid, but you do it in privacy where no one can see you. And man, it's a game changer because it strengthens up all those little muscles that don't get worked, and it lines everything back up. And then you strengthen under load. It's like doing calisthenics. It's like using your own body weight to get strong in different positions, like those calisthenic guys do, and gymnasts and stuff. And there's merit to that, but it's a slow stretch with a hold, and then you start to build your strength up, your flexibility, your stretching, your mobility. So, anyways, I'm gonna be quiet now. Let you talk, because I'm kind of rambling.
Yeah, so it wasn't anything that like out of the ordinary, really. I guess I did hurt myself technically. It was just for me. It was the first time that I've really, like, my elbows have bothered me before, my shoulders have bothered me before, and like they were uncomfortable but not unbearable kind of things. Like, doing certain movements were uncomfortable but weren't like unbearable. I just have to figure out a way to kind of move around it, sort of thing. This was the first time where in doing something I actually felt something inside my body like kind of give out a little bit, and it was like unnerving to actually feel. And so I was like, I don't like that. And then I had trouble standing back up and everything.
I hope you never tear a muscle, because even if you don't separate it, just a muscle tear in the belly, right? Oh, dude, it is awful feeling. Oh no. And then the bruising comes and the swelling, and it's awful, man. So hope you never have to experience that, because that is something that is just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah. So in the process of that, just after that evening, it started getting more and more tight, and then going to sleep that night, laying down for 8 hours, whatever it was, like, it just became extremely tight. So the next morning, it was extremely difficult to even trying to get out of bed. So I was like, oh, that's it for today, kind of thing. And then you told me like to look up some videos, and I did, but the information I was getting from that was a little, like, I don't know, it's kind of not, it's different. So then I came over here last Friday, because I was able to move around a little bit better by then, but it was still kind of bothering me. And then you had me try some yoga movements. And in the process of doing that, that was more extreme at that moment than most of the other things we had been doing. Like, I sweated more in like the 15, 20, 30 minutes of doing that than I had in like some of the workouts that we've done recently. But it was helpful though. Being able to stretch the muscle area, like the back, and like doing like the different positions and stuff. Like, it was extremely helpful, because at the start I was only able to move so much, and by the time, just like the 30 minutes later, I was able to, like, I had a much wider range of motion just from allowing the area to kind of ease back into the motion, sort of thing, with like breathing and everything else. And from there, I've continued to do it and keep that. So I was able to this week get back in the gym. I'm not per se doing the exact same stuff I was doing before, but I was able to be in there all week this week. Afterwards, my back has kind of stiffened up a little bit, but it's not unbearable. It's uncomfortable, not unbearable. So when it starts to get to that point where like I feel it kind of stiffening up, I just take a few minutes or whatever, and I'll stretch it back out. I'll do some movements or whatever, do whatever I need to kind of get it to loosen back up, and then I'm good again. For sometimes it's only 30 minutes, sometimes it'll be a couple hours that I have no issues. And as long as I can keep doing that and just kind of work on it and extending the process out more and more for the stretching, like, it's going to continue to get better. And then I'll just continue with it past that to kind of avoid having that injury happen again.
Yeah, I did yoga to rehab my knee. I did yoga to rehab my lower back. I did yoga to rehab my sciatica. I did yoga to rehab my pec after my surgery. Like, they told me, like, hey, you need to have a physical therapist after I had my pec reconnected to my tendon. And I was just like, I'm not going to pay money for a physical therapist. And they're like, well, you need to know how to do it. I was like, I got it, man. So I started off doing variations of yoga for my condition of what I needed, and I did it every day. Every hour on the hour I did it. Took 10 minutes a day. Well, 10 minutes every hour. Did some stretching, some moving, some holding, and just some mobility work, and I just worked on getting it further and further and further every day. trying to get more blood in there. Because the thing about the body is, what heals the body is blood. All the nutrients is in the blood. And the only way your ligaments, your tendons, your cartilage, your joints, all that, the only way it gets blood is through movement, because it has a very poor blood flow in those areas. The more you move it, the more blood gets in those areas, the faster it heals up. There's two types of inflammation. There's bad inflammation, which is the swelling of water, and that's your body trying to form a splint to keep you from moving it. Restricts everything, including blood flow. And then there's bad inflammation, which is, good inflammation, which is the swelling of blood. And that's good, because that's healing. But if you move too much, you can agitate the area, and it can cause bad inflammation. So the people want to take anti-inflammatories. Bad, because it reduces the blood flow as well. It reduces all of it. If you have noticeable swelling in the area, like legitimate noticeable swelling in the area, that is bad inflammation. You need to take anti-inflammatory. You got to get it out of there, because that inflammation is going to cause damage. But if you take it just because you have a little bit of pain in the area, you're reducing your healing process. So taking other things that are good at reducing inflammation in the body, bad inflammation, and increasing blood flow, like vitamin E, believe it or not, vitamin E is actually really good as an anti-inflammatory of fluid, and it promotes blood flow, actually, believe it or not. Anytime I got hurt, I take about 2,500 IUs of vitamin E a day. If I need an anti-inflammatory, like ibuprofen, I take that before bed. I take about 600 right before bed when I go to sleep. So at nighttime, when I'm not moving, the inflammation doesn't set in and doesn't swell my joints or whatever's bothering me. So when I wake up, I'm a little bit more mobile, and then I go all day without taking any anti-inflammatories. Now, man, I can't breathe. Now, if the pain is severe and you can barely move around, I'm not saying don't take a painkiller anti-inflammatory. If you have a doctor, you went to the doctor, by all means listen to your doctor. But if he's telling you to sit and don't move, it's going to take longer. Fastest way to heal, pain-free, I'm going to re-say that, pain-free range of motion. It doesn't have to be a big range of motion. It could be this, right? This little bit of movement right here, this pain-free range of motion, if all the way hurts or all the way hurts, but you can move in here. When I tore my tricep and my elbow, whenever I popped something in my elbow and I tore something in the back of my arm, right? I could not, I don't know if let's see if it cracks. Okay? It's done that ever since I've been like in my early 20s, because I popped and then tore something, right? Nothing retracted, but this tricep looks different than this tricep, so maybe I did. But there's no bruising or anything like that. So I couldn't move my arm for about 2 weeks. And then what happened was, all I could do was reverse grip, one arm, dumbbell, or cable press downs, right? This is it. Just this motion here. That's all I could do for about 5 pounds. So what I did was, I did that every day. Whenever I could, if it didn't hurt me, I would do that. And eventually got to the point where I could turn my hand to a neutral, and I could start doing it with a rope with one arm. And then I could get it supinated all the way over, and then I could go up to 5 pounds. Then 10 pounds, then 12 pounds, then 15 pounds, then 17 pounds. And I just slowly worked on all 3 ranges of motion, moving my elbow every day in a plane that didn't hurt, increasing the range, increasing the range, increasing the range, increasing the range, increasing the load over time. Pain-free range of motion first, get your range of motion back. Then you add load to build the strength back up. And then after that, you start working on getting back to where you were. I did that for my knee. I did it for my elbow. I've done it for a lot of injuries, right? My pec, everything. So when I would sit on an injury, like, and you nurse it and you baby it, it hurts. I can't move it. I can move it like this, but that's it. What's the point of even moving it? Well, the point is to get blood in there. And the more you can do that, the better you eat. Take your vitamins, take your minerals, eat a very well nutriently dense food throughout the day, throughout the whole day, to load your blood with what it needs to repair what it needs to repair. And you're going to recover way faster than just sitting on the couch and doing nothing. When you have hip surgery and hip replacement, they make you get up immediately when you wake up. Within minutes, you have to get up out of the chair. And they have you sit down and stand up. They have you squatting in a chair. Just use it, holding on to it, doing squats. Immediately. Then as soon as you can, they make you walk up and down the hallways. Immediately. They don't wait 3 weeks and then make you, no, as soon as you have hip surgery, they get you moving, right? You got to move. You got to move. Like that's like blood flow. It's the king of like rehabilitation. And if you're not doing pain-free range of motion, you're going to take forever. So pain-free range of motion, get your motion back, then start adding load, and then you start building up your strength. And that's what you're doing. And it starts with yoga.
Yeah.
It gets pain-free range of motion without load.
It's also just helping me with that thing that I always say I need to do, but I never actually do, which is working on my actual range of motion.
Mm-hmm.
So in doing the yoga, I'm going to, like, even though I'm working on my back, I'm also working on, like, my ankles and my knees and everything else, like with the different positions, poses, whatever. So I'm going to overall help my range of motion, which is going to be helpful and beneficial through everything I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like just a more fluid movement of the body. So
Yeah. We'll transition a little bit because I said in the beginning we're going to talk about the workout some. So that's this part. Okay, so for the workout, we're going to kind of keep this simple and short because I don't know how long this is running, and I don't want to run too long. But our workout 6 days a week. I work out my chest and back together on Mondays and Thursdays. I do biceps, triceps, and shoulders on Tuesdays, Fridays. My quads get worked out with my abs on Wednesday. My hamstrings, hips, and calves get worked out on Saturdays. I split my quads and my hamstrings up because I've always done that, and it works for my legs. I don't train my upper body like I train my lower body, and I don't because it doesn't work. Now, I use different tempos and different speeds. Like I said earlier, the beginning of the week, when I'm feeling energized and strong from recovering, eating a lot more carbs on Sunday, I can use heavier weights and I can move faster. Towards the end of the week, I start fatiguing. I don't feel tired, but I can feel it when I hold the weights in my hand that my body's getting tired. So I pick lighter weights, slow the reps down, like reduce the amount of reps, but I'm still getting time and attention. It's not about the weight. I'm not saying, I have carbs and energy, I'm going to try to bang out as heavy as weights as I can. No. What I mean is I could get more reps with heavier weight and it doesn't feel heavy. Like doing a set of 15 to 20 with the 70s is not heavy. It's not like I'm doing a 3 rep max or a 2 rep max or a 1 rep max. I mean, I'm still talking about doing 15 to 20 reps with heavier weights, but moving them faster. Not maxing out. Not even hitting failure. I don't want to hit failure. I try to stop my set by about 1 to 5 reps shy of failure because I don't want to hit that failure because I'm doing so much fatigue. If you go to failure doing the amount of volume we do, on our arms we do 18 sets twice a week. Our legs we do 20 sets twice a week. And then our back, chest, we do 24 sets twice a week. Our shoulders, we do 18 sets twice a week. So, like, changing up the speed, the tempo, the load, the volume, all that, you can say it's bro science, but it just keeps it fun. Like, at the end of the day, like, the routine doesn't change. I'm doing the same thing every single week, but changing the tempo from the beginning of the week to the end of the week, changing the rep range from the beginning of the week to the end of the week, and maybe changing 1 or 2 exercises out from the beginning of the week to the end of the week. It keeps it fun. It keeps it interesting. So it keeps me on it. I like doing high volume. I like doing high frequency, and I like doing fast back to back to back to back to work. So when we start a set, like for our arms, we do 6 sets for one movement of triceps, biceps, and we go back and forth without stop. Then we rest a minute or 2. We move to the next exercise, and we go back to back without stop for 6 sets. And you cannot go heavy when you're doing that. So when I say going heavy, I don't mean 1 rep maxes and 3 rep or 5 rep maxes. I mean heavy for doing 6 sets of 8 to 20 reps back to back to back to back to back to back without rest and only about a minute or 2 between the next transition to the next movement. You're going to be so winded and breathing so hard, you're not going to be able to go quote unquote heavy. You can go heavy, and we go off of the way the weight feels. I don't care if it's a 70 or a 100 or a 5-pounder. I don't care. How does it feel in my hand? So the second half of the week, when I'm feeling a little bit more fatigued, the weights are going to be lighter. Do I care I drop to the 40s? No, I don't. I don't care. I care how does it feel on my chest. Yes, I feel the squeeze. I got a pump. I feel the stretch. I feel the contraction. It feels good. Same thing for my back, my arms, everything. I could care less about what's on the bar. I care about the way it feels and how my muscles are engaging during that movement. And by changing up the reps, the sets, not the sets, but the reps and the speed and the tempo, it, like, here's some bro science. Like Arnold says, it confuses the body and it makes it have to think to figure out what's going on because it's always trying to have to adapt to the new thing. So, and as far as it goes for, you don't have to be sore to grow. That could be true. That could be not true. It's hard to tell because if I'm doing 135 pounds on straight bar curls for a set of 8, and I don't ever get sore from that for like 4 weeks in a row, 135 pounds, then I decide, you know what? I'm going to go down to the 35, 40 pound dumbbells. Let's say 40 pound dumbbells. That's only 80 pounds total, right? So what? That's 55 pounds less. And if I do those instead of straight bar curls, more than likely, I'm 99% sure my biceps are going to be crazy sore the next day or two. Is it because those 80 pounds was more taxing, damaging, and just like horrific on my arms? No, the 135 pounds was harder like on my arms due to the fact that it was heavier load. But the dumbbells was just a different movement. My body wasn't used to that movement. So what happened? I got sore. If you're doing sets of 8 all the time, and then if you're doing the same movement, let's say you're doing preacher curl, you're doing sets of 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. You do that for 4 weeks in a row and you don't get sore. Then you decide, you know what? I'm gonna do sets of 20. Or you're doing sets of 20, then you drop it down to sets of 8 and you go heavier and slower. Or you've been going heavy and slow, so now you go light and fast. Now you're sore. Going lighter and faster, was that more damaging than going slow with heavier weights? No, it probably evens out. It's just different. So your body has to respond and adapt and figure out what just happened. Mm-hmm. So it has to adapt. But like, don't really know where I'm going with this, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is like, either way it goes, if you get sore, you don't get sore. As long as you can recover within about 3 days of that soreness and you're ready to work out again, you're not overtraining. There is a thing about overtraining. I do believe that if you do high intensity, high volume, high frequency, you can outreach your recovery and you can do more than what you can recover. And then what happens is you start building more endurance and you start like losing strength and size and you start getting more endurance. And you'll start reducing strength. Like it's a natural way of things. Like you'll start losing strength, you'll start losing size because your body's going to start becoming more efficient at cardiovascular stuff. So there's like a middle ground. Like if you do high intensity, you got to do low volume. If you do, like low intensity, you got to do high volume. It's a give and a take. It's one or the other. You could do both, right? But personally, in my experience, trying to do high volume, high intensity, terrible. High intensity, high cardio, terrible. High intensity, no cardio, terrible. High volume, high frequency, cardio, terrible. High volume, high volume, high frequency, modest intensity, no cardio, amazing. Amazing results. Absolutely amazing. The more time I spend under the weights, the less time I spend on the cardio, the faster I move between my sets, the more sets I get in, the less everything else I have to do, and the better I look. Crazy to think. If you want to build muscle, lift more weights. Not heavy, but just lift more, right? Do more sets. Do more reps. Do less cardio. Do more sets. Lift more weights. Do longer sessions. Do more frequent sessions. Who would have thought if you wanted to put muscle on, working out more would get you more muscle, right? Not if you're doing high intensity, because you can't recover fast enough to do high frequency with high volume with high intensity. There's a give and a take. It's a pendulum. You can't tip it too far one way or the other. You just can't everything. And I don't know how much sense I made on that ramble because I feel like my ADD kept deterring me into a new path. And there's so much more I want to say on it. But I think this podcast is getting a little long. I'm going to let you go ahead and say what you got to say about the training, what you think about it. And I think we're going to close out this podcast.
The training's been going well. We bounced around on like the type of, or like the number of sets on the exercises. But we've kind of settled on doing the 6 sets with the super setting for a few weeks now. And it's, like I said, it keeps it interesting. It keeps it fun. Like you're constantly moving. So like there's not really a need or a necessity of any type to do a cardio really because like you're kind of in a way cardioing during the actual workout. Like I'm pretty much the entire time, like the first sets of both, I'm kind of good. Second set, I'm like, okay. And third set, I'm like starting to, and it's pretty much heavy breathing the rest of the time. We're there. Like you might get a little bit of pause every now and then, but it's just, you keep on going. So we've managed to cram like a lot of work into less time overall, whatever, but it's more work, more like it's more intense for us. It keeps us moving and going, and it's like the results of it afterwards are, I think, a lot better. So as long as like we have that going, there's not really much need to kind of mess with it too much more. It's like it's going well for us. Hopefully, no more other little mishaps or anything like that. But as far as it goes, like I'm enjoying the like what we're doing right now. Just it also allows you to kind of like hone in and focus a little bit more too. Like when you're in there, you don't have as much time to kind of like take a minute and just like
Get lost in your thought.
Yeah, you're just there. He's like, I don't have time. We're moving here. If I fall behind, then he falls behind. He's gonna get mad at me.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, because one, you're breathing so heavy, you don't want to talk because you want to catch your breath. Because there is no stopping, so you can't get on your phone, you can't talk, you're out of breath. So if you try to talk, you're just screwing yourself because you're not going to even have any wind to do your next set. So, and like you said, we're putting like 2.5 hours worth of work into like an hour or less. So we're doing more work in less time, which is equivalent to the same amount of lift, like the same amount of work, just condensed more. And it's like, oh, well, that's less time and attention. No, we're not spending like a 2-to-1 resting, right? I'm going to lift for a minute, then I'm going to rest for 2 minutes. I'm going to lift for a minute, then I'm going to rest for 2 minutes. I'm going to lift for a minute, then I'm going to rest for 3 minutes. I'm going to lift for a minute, and then I'm going to get caught up talking for 5 minutes. Then I'm going to lift for a minute. There's none of that. It's literally the whole hour you're in there. It is non-stop lifting. Non-stop lifting. There's no time for nothing else. If there's time for anything else, it's take a drink of water and get back to it. Because like what you said, if I mess up, it slows you down. If you mess up and goof off, it slows me down. And then you get mad at me or I get mad at you, and it's just kind of like, come on, you're holding me up. Come on, my gains are waiting for me, and you're keeping me from them. So I agree with you on that. I definitely do feel like this is a lot more, and you don't have time to get distracted in your own head thinking about work or whatever, you know. There's no time for that. The only thing you're thinking of is like, oh God, I think I need a little bit more time before I do this next set. I don't, oh no, he's coming. I gotta go. I gotta get this in, you know. And then that forces you, like you said, set 1, strong. Set 2, yeah. Set 3, set 4, I don't know. Set 5, maybe I'm going to go back down the weight. Set 6, I'm going to go down the weight a little bit. Yeah. Because it's not about how much weight you're using. It's about how much stress you're putting on the muscle for how much time you can put on the muscle. So, you know, that's ultimately what we're after. Like, so it does. If we work up to 80 pounds in the first 4 sets, and the next 2 sets we drop from 80 to 60 to 40, but we're still hitting the same reps, right? Mm-hmm. And we're getting the burn, we're getting the pump, we're getting the contraction. Like, it doesn't matter how much is on the bar. Yeah, you could take 4 minutes. All right, let's go up again. 4 minutes, let's go up again. Like strength training. I don't want to strength train. I've done that majority of my lifting, like not career, but my life when I've been powerlifting for. I was just telling you the other day in the gym, it's been 10 years since my first competition. You know, it's been 10 years. 2015 was my first competition. So for 10 years is when I started competing. And then I was powerlifting, getting for like 4 or 5 years training for powerlifting before I even stepped on a platform. So you take all that into consideration. Now, there were breaks where I would do bodybuild. I would powerlift 6 to 8 months, and then I'd bodybuild 3 to 5 months, and then I'd powerlift, you know, like 5 to 8 months. And then, so I would often take some time off of the gym to get back to it. And, you know, so there were cycles. It wasn't just straight powerlifting. Your body just can't handle it. Eventually needs a break, right? But ultimately, I literally forgot exactly where I was going with this. So, wow, man, I just totally went completely blank on that. I sure would like to know where I was going with that.
The more you know.
Yeah. Shoot. Oh, strength training, right? So taking more time between your sets as you're building up, you're resting to maintain your strength levels. It takes, there was a study that said that it takes 3 to 8 minutes for your body to fully restore glucose into the muscle. So when you power lift, you hit your heavy set, you rest 3 to 8 minutes. Optimal is around 5 to 6 minutes. Then you go again, because that means all the glucose is going to be back in the muscle, and you'll have 100% of your strength again in that muscle. If you do your sets too close together, you don't give your body time to replace the glucose, which allows you to fatigue faster muscularly because you don't have the energy in the muscle to continue to push. And you're just constantly like draining it before it could come back. So then your loads can't be as heavy. So powerlifting, strongman, strength training, you want more time between sets. Bodybuilding, you don't want to restore the glucose. You want to beat it down, right? You want to force the body to have to work hard for everything, right? You don't want no easy trips. You want to keep the muscle pumped up with blood, and you want to deplete everything. So whenever you get done and you eat carbs, it goes all the way back into there and stuff like that. So the faster you can train, the more depleted you get, the harder it is on you, the more you suffer, the more you can look at the mirror before bed and be like, yeah, we gave it everything we got today. Now let's go to bed so we can do it again the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more science to the whole like carb loading thing in between sets and the rest periods. I don't remember it because it was years ago that I read it, but I wish I could find the article and reread it and kind of brush up on it. But it was basically explaining like if you're trying to build muscle mass and endurance, it's better to deplete the body, rest between 30 seconds to 2 minutes maximum. And if you're trying to go for strength, you want around like 4 to 8 minutes, and optimal is around 5 to 6 minutes to be ready to go without cooling down too much to prevent injuries. What the article is about, like I can't remember. There's a whole study done on it because they monitor the glucose and the replenishing of it and everything, and that's where I was going with that. But I don't really remember the full article just because it was such a long time ago and everything. But there is a little bit of science to some of the bro science that we say around here. I kind of started rambling there again. I think I'm done, man. Is there anything else you want to add? I'll let you close it out if you want, if there's anything else.
I think I'm good for tonight.
Okay, I think I'm good too. Just been a minute since we've been in here, so it's kind of nice to just been able to talk
Yes, sir.
and shoot the shit. So, but all right, well, thanks for watching. If anyone's made it this far in the video, that's it. We'll see y'all next time.